absolutely ridiculous. They'll believe anything. They'll believe anything. Right, welcome back everybody to the 没想法 channel. It is 2022 and yeah, we're getting the year off to a good start. So, Abby, nice to see you.
Hi, Rachel. Happy New Year.
Yeah, did you have a good New Year's?
Yeah, I have a good time during the long weekend.
Okay, yeah, you went camping, right?
I went camping.
Yeah.
And it's like we are not camping on the campus side. We camp at the river, along the riverside.
Just like walked and found a place.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm jealous. I haven't done that for years. Now I plan everything too much. So yeah.
Maybe next time you can join us. Enjoy
Sure.
the uncertainty.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get past like preparing so much stuff because I do glamping now. So, but maybe we can try. All right, good. So we took a week off last week, obviously just for New Year's. And yeah, we're back, and hopefully we can bring you guys some good content. So before we get going, though, what do we need to do, Abby?
Oh, 如果你喜欢我们的影片的话，请帮我们按赞、分享跟订阅。
So if you guys enjoy our content, please give us a hand, like, share, subscribe. Really
Yes.
helps us a lot. Okay, so I think we're going to start today with our least favorite topic, Abby. The thing we really don't want to be talking about, but we have to, the virus.
The virus.
So
Yes.
what have you heard? What's new in Taiwan that you've heard about?
Oh, Omicron crisis increasing. It's
Okay.
increasing now.
Is it really a crisis in Taiwan, Omicron?
For me, and for my understanding, I don't think it's a crisis because the symptom is mild.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see the intention.
Okay, so
Because
do you think
people
that people in Taiwan believe this is a big crisis, the Omicron?
I don't know quite sure because I'm not talking to most of Taiwanese. But what I see is from the media,
Okay.
like the Facebook, and the news.
Okay, what's the general feeling, would you say, from the news and Facebook and
It's,
everywhere?
oh my God, Omicron is coming to Taiwan. We have to prepare. So everyone should get the booster, and the government should moving faster, like to get all the people who have needs need to get the booster, and the attitude to mandate is more strong.
I see. Oh, really? So people are saying that we need to mandate the booster for everybody, or mandate
Oh
the
no! I
vaccine.
mean it's for like a mask.
Oh,
You have to
I
wear
see, I
mask
see.
and during some
Okay.
certain situation.
Oh, I think a lot of people have gotten a bit slack with the masks. So you mean they're just tightening the restrictions and saying, look, you really need to wear masks and
Nah,
everything?
Because they
Okay.
found out the local cases, they singing in the KTV,
I saw,
karaoke, without mask. So right now they say, hey, people have to wear the mask no matter you are indoor or outdoor. If the distance is close,
It's got to be pretty hard to sing karaoke with a mask on, right?
you will not get a high score
No,
with
I
the
don't-
mask.
I don't think so,
Yeah.
right? Okay. But yeah, I've definitely been watching, and I saw like yesterday, you can see the news here. So we had like Taiwan reports 62 new cases. I mean, I've been warning people about this
It's
for
about
ages,
the
right?
import.
I think
right?
58 of those are imported, but they did this like different type of quarantine, right? 7-7 and then 7-7-7, and
Yeah.
so the more people who come in for the new year, you know, with every single person extra that comes in, it's more risk, more like one can slip through. And that's exactly what we're seeing now, right? I mean, we're seeing a few people slip through. I think that it isn't community spread yet, right? It's not like spreading in the community and they don't know where it is. It's more like confined to like the quarantine hotels at the moment, right?
Currently, it's still
in the hotels.
In the hotels.
Sure. But I mean, I saw like, I think it was not yesterday, the day before, like 25 cases and like 21 were breakthroughs or something.
I
Something
also
like that.
remember like the 4 domestic cases, they are all double vaccinated.
So I mean, for me, I'm obviously I'm not a doctor, but that seems a little bit strange where they're saying everyone needs to get boosted, right? And everyone needs to get the vaccine. But what's that really going to do?
They will say, see if when you get Omicron, your symptom will be lower
Will be lower.
because of vaccine.
But I thought that the symptoms for Omicron were lower anyway.
Yeah, so low anyway, right? But you have to, but they were, I don't know, but you have to test it without vaccine. You will understand words.
Okay. So I think I've seen some interesting stuff recently, like, so we talked about this a lot on this channel, is like in the past, people were saying that the vaccine would stop you from getting sick. And then it would stop you from spreading it. And then after that, it became about symptoms. And something really interesting has been happening, that they're walking this back. Do you know that expression, walking it back?
Go back to the original?
No. These people like Fauci and them are saying, no. It was always about symptoms. It was never about spreading. Yeah, if you can believe that, right? Doesn't make too much sense,
all
right?
right. It's about symptoms.
So I found a nice, cool video that actually shows what people said before and what people say now.
Okay,
and
let's
you
change
can
it
have a look quickly. Let me show it to you. Okay, so here it is here.
I wondered whether you felt there had been a communication error from government officials throughout this pandemic by suggesting initially that the primary reason to get vaccinated was to prevent you getting COVID at all, as opposed to reducing the severity.
Well, I think it was the question of what people interpreted.
Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
The 94 and 95% efficacy in those trials was prevention of symptomatic disease, not prevention of infection.
That when people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
Question of what people interpreted.
The fact that we know now that these vaccines are highly, highly effective, number one. Number two, they're really, really good against variants.
Question of what people interpreted. There was a lot of people understandably felt that I'm not going to get infected at all. Now, that could have been done better communicating to the public, I admit.
And so I just can't face another surge when there's so much optimism right at our fingertips.
So you can see there, right? I mean, they're definitely trying to walk it back. They're trying to say that, it was always about symptoms. It was not about stopping. But you can see, and it's very easy to go back and have a look, and you'll see that they were definitely saying it would stop you from getting it. And that things have changed, right?
Yeah, their narrative just try to fix the situation.
So let me show you something else quickly related to this. Have a look at this. So this is the US cases, and you can see it goes right up to like December. And if you have a look there, you'll see obviously the black is the cases. I think that the orange line is the vaccinations. And on May 20th, they said here, the Fauci said, and you can look on Axios, right? If 70% of Americans get vaccinated, the US can avoid a fall surge. So when is fall? Fall is kind of like here. And look
fall
at
is not. It's like the weather.
The fall, okay. How do you say Chotian?
Chotian,
yeah.
yes.
So and here you can see it, right? So like October, November, and look at the surge. So yeah, it's very interesting to see. It doesn't look like that came true what he said, right? So they did definitely have this fall surge. I mean, look at the cases, right? They're all-time highs now. So interesting to see that, right? And I think as well what they did is they also changed the definition of immunity for this, right?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I got all of these things. Have a look here. So you can see the definition of immunity, protection, and this is like two different times, right? So protection from an infectious disease. If you are immune to a disease, you can be exposed to it without becoming infected. And then a vaccine is a product that stimulates a person's immune system to produce immunity to a specific disease, protecting the person from that disease. Then if you look here, it's kind of changed the definition. A preparation that is used to stimulate the body's immune response against disease.
No.
Okay, from that disease, against that disease, right? And you can see vaccination, the act of introducing a vaccine into the body to produce protection from a specific disease. So they've slightly just changed the words of vaccine so that it doesn't mean it stops you from getting the sickness like we all used to believe. It's changed a little bit, right?
No, now it's more like a medicine.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like
right?
a treatment.
And look at some other ones, right? So that's that definition. Let's have a look at vaccine immunity. So this is before 2015. Vaccination meant injection of a killed or weakened infectious organism in order to prevent the disease.
Prevent. That's what I know.
Then 2015 to 2021, the act of introducing a vaccine into the body to produce immunity to a specific disease. And then after September 21, the act of introducing a vaccine into the body to produce protection from a specific disease.
What is the difference between the immunity and the protection? Immunity
you
means...
saw they've changed those definitions too.
Oh, yes. Before, I just think immunity is like... It's similar to you create a soldier in your body and you will try to fight.
Well, I think that's what it was for 2015 to 2021. But it's what is prevent the disease, then
before
it's produce immunity, and then now it's to produce protection. So
slowly
it's
it change it.
And I got a third one for you. Let's have a look. Definition of herd immunity.
Oh
so
my.
we can see it here. Let me make it bigger. Herd immunity. This is, when was this one? So this is the one from 9th of June 2020.
Yes.
Okay, so herd immunity is the indirect protection from an infectious disease that happens when a population is immune, either through vaccination or immunity developed through previous infection. Whereas here, look how they changed it. Herd immunity, also known as population immunity, is a concept used for vaccination,
Only.
in which a person can be protected from a certain virus if a threshold of vaccination is reached.
I see.
Yeah. So
They don't believe the people who already get immunity from the disease.
yeah, so they keep changing these things. I don't know why. I mean, it's just going to confuse a whole lot of people. But you'll definitely see that they were saying this thing. I mean, you can see there's a woman called Rachel Maddow. Let's watch this video and you'll see what she was saying. This is before as well.
It means that instead of the vaccine being able, instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person to person, spreading and spreading, sickening some of them, but not all of them. And the ones that it doesn't sicken don't know they have it. And then they give it to even more people because they didn't recognize they were, right? Instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person, potentially mutating and becoming more virulent and drug resistant along the way, now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus. The virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else. It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people. That means the vaccines will get us to the end of this if we just go fast enough to get the whole population.
All right. No, I mean, like, I kind of agree with her, to be honest. Like, in a way, like, I mean, that's what I'd believed before, right? You have a vaccine. If enough people get that vaccine and the vaccine stops people from getting sick, that concept made a lot of sense, right?
The concept is true before.
Yeah.
That's what people believe in vaccine.
Well, I mean, that's what she was saying last year. So they're trying to walk this thing back, but actually it doesn't really make sense that they're trying to walk it back because it is spreading. It's not, as she just said, it stops at a vaccinated person. It isn't stopping, right?
Yep.
And then if you have a look here, you can see some details about this. So this is for, they said the Lancet said 89% of new UK COVID cases are among fully vaccinated people. I mean, I don't even think this is news. I mean, a lot of people already know this type of stuff, right? This one here, most of the patients infected with Omicron in Germany were fully vaccinated. That's another article. So there are lots of articles showing that, you know, the people who are getting this, a lot of them are vaccinated. So that whole logic that Rachel Maddow was saying, that we all used to believe, doesn't seem to be true now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, everyone's heard of breakthrough cases, right? Like, I'm sure people in Taiwan all must know, you know, breakthroughs.
Yeah, like lots of, lots of people breakthrough.
So it's interesting to see, right? I mean, I don't know why they're pushing vaccines as a way to stop this. If what Rachel Maddow said before was true, then I would understand it. But because of breakthrough cases, I don't understand it.
Yeah, and
Doesn't really make sense to me, right?
yeah, and since the breakthrough is not a few cases, it's like everywhere.
It's a lot.
It's
yeah.
a lot. So.
Sure. And then you see things like this, right? So if you have a look, this is about France. So Macron in France vowed to piss off the unvaccinated. And you can see.
Vow?
Yeah, he says, look at this. I really want to piss them off. And we'll carry on doing this to the end.
To
He
the
told
what
them-
end?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what he said, right? He wants to piss off the unvaccinated people so that they'll go and get the vaccine. But my question would be why? What Rachel Maddow said isn't true anymore. It's not like the virus stops at a vaccinated person. They're saying it helps with symptoms,
But
the symptoms for Omicron are already low.
really low. And if it's really about symptoms, so it's only about the personal choice, because even you take vaccine, you still can affect other people.
Sure.
So if they really believe that the vaccine can protect them, I think that's enough. Why they have to piss off the unvaccinated?
Sure, and I mean, then they say that it's about the hospitalizations, right? So that even if the symptoms are lower, because you have more people, you're still going to have a lot of people going into the hospitals. But I mean, I've even looked at last year. A lot of places, the hospitals weren't that full. It's not like across the board, all hospitals were full. And will this, because I mean, I think most people have had some kind of vaccine now, right? So will the small amount of people who haven't had the vaccine be enough to truly
collapse the system?
I don't think so. And then if you
yeah.
look at who the people are going to hospital, a lot of them are also vaccinated.
Uh,
So
yeah.
we've talked about this before. I don't see how this is a way to end this thing. What Rachel Maddow said was a way to end it. If it made it stop at that person, I get it. But
If it's
that's
true.
not happening. So
Yeah.
I don't see how, and I don't see why Macron is pushing so hard and so many other people are pushing so hard with a way that doesn't actually seem to make sense to stop the thing, right? So I don't get it. A little bit funny,
yeah,
right?
yes.
Yeah, and then and you know what? It's even not just them, right? Not even just these articles. I mean, have you seen Boris Johnson? Let me show you a quick video about Boris Johnson. Watch
I
this.
cannot stress too much how vital it is for everybody to get that booster jab, particularly the 2.4 million people who've had 2 jabs but haven't yet had their booster. They had 2 jabs more than 6 or 7 months ago, so they're eligible for their booster, but they're not yet coming forward to get it. So I would say to people, come forward and get your booster. It's a fantastic thing to do. It makes a huge amount of difference to you. It protects you. And I'm sorry to say this, but the overwhelming majority of people who are currently ending up in intensive care in our hospitals are people who are not boosted. I've talked to doctors who say the numbers are running up to 90% of people in intensive care who are not boosted.
90% of people in ICU haven't been boosted. Not vaccinated. Boosted.
Boosted.
Which means that if you
Three
haven't been
doses.
boosted, you've had 2. So he's saying 90% of people in ICU have had 2 vaccines and not the third.
Need boosters. So, okay.
Yeah. And then this week there was a study. It's not peer-reviewed yet. It's a preprint study that came out of Denmark. And I think that study was showing about reinfection. So they said that if you, if you've already had COVID, like Delta, and now getting Omicron, like the chance for people to get Omicron is higher in people who've had 2 vaccines, and then even higher for people who've had the booster for reinfection. But again, I'm not saying that's true. That's this preprint study. I've seen a few YouTube videos about it, but that is coming out as well.
Okay.
So pretty interesting. So I'm just really questioning this idea about getting everybody vaccinated, because I just don't get how that's going to make some massive difference. And
Since they already just redo it,
Yeah.
redo again. But
Sure. And we should also look at other countries, right? So, I mean, we know that it started in South Africa.
Omicron.
Yeah. And have you seen what's happening in South Africa? I mean, South Africa's eased COVID restrictions. because the Omicron peak happened very quickly and just dropped straight away, and they didn't really have too many hospitalizations, right? And you can see it here. On Friday, the government announced that contacts of COVID-positive cases, that they will no longer need to test or self-isolate if they aren't showing symptoms. Those who develop mild symptoms will be required to isolate for 8 days.
8 days.
While anyone with severe symptoms will need to isolate for 10 days. Right. So South Africa is looking at this, and they're changing, and they're reducing the restrictions and things because of this. So, yeah, I don't really quite understand, why everybody's freaking out so much. I do see that probably the case numbers are high. I think the US had like 1 million cases the other day in one day, right? Did you see that?
It's the US is crazy. People are saying, "Oh no, we have to block US tourists because the case is so high."
So yesterday, 894,000 cases.
Ooh.
But I mean, have a look at it, right?
Look at that.
I mean, look at the whole overall all time for this thing. I mean, we're well higher now than they ever were before. With all of these kind of vaccines and
it's
stuff.
like a double or double.
It's really high, right? So yeah, so I don't see. I mean, it seems like at some point they're just going to need to let people get this thing, right?
Let people get listening. You mean just let people get?
Yeah, I saw an
virus?
article somebody wrote and actually said, should I just get Omicron over with and just get it?
Yeah, maybe just Omicron is a way to end it all of this, because if lots of people get Omicron, they have some certain immunity, so they have protection, nature protection.
Hopefully,
right? That's what we guess. So.
Yeah.
So maybe Omicron is not really scared. It's just more like a flu. Everyone gets Omicron.
Seems like it, right? Omicron seems like it. If you look at the symptoms, it seems comparable to flu. But, I've looked at articles from Taiwan before, and they've said, like, in just a few days, Taiwan had over 100,000 cases of flu. In just, like, 3 days. I can find it for you if I have a look. Okay. But that was, like, from, like, 2018, I think. So we've had times in Taiwan where in just a few days we've had like over 100,000 flu cases. But I don't remember, I lived here at that time, I don't remember people freaking out about the flu. But I don't think that flu has that name recognition, right? When people hear the flu, they go, the flu.
Yeah.
But when they hear Omicron, they go, oh, they're COVID, like, oh my God. Like,
yes, that's true. Like Paco's friend say he had the Omicron recently, but the symptom is like a flu. He just locked down, quarantine at home like a week, and he's fine.
Yes, but I mean, they've made COVID into this boogeyman.
Boogeyman?
Yeah, the word COVID. Ooh,
sounds like the...
So back to Taiwan. What are we going to do in Taiwan? We've managed to keep it out so well. But then we might have to have COVID last. Because people aren't getting natural immunity. Yeah. We can see that even if you've had the vaccines, it's still going to spread. So at some point, it's going to spread. It's going to spread.
I think we had to bear to accept it. We have to understand we're going to have cases around us.
Sure. But then, people aren't willing to accept this, I think. Different to the flu, where people had the flu. Oh, well, a lot of people got the flu. Showing whatever. But now, imagine if there were 10,000 cases a day of Omicron in Taiwan, people would lose their minds.
It's about to lose their mind.
Yeah.
It's like a Taipei mayor even say he's trying to make the cases zero.
Yeah.
We have to prevent it. We have to give more strict, strong restriction. So the cases we have to get the cases low.
But you do realize the problem with that strategy. That means you just have to keep doing that forever.
Yeah, it's unreasonable.
Sure. And then people are talking about when can you open the border? Never. Because as soon as you do open the border, you're going to get cases just like now. They haven't really opened the border that much. It's just mainly Taiwanese people coming back from overseas. And it's just started. And what do we have? 62 cases yesterday, and now they're already starting to slip out. I mean, the more people who come home, the greater the chance that one slips out, gets community spread, and then we're back to where we were in May. But what do you do differently? Because are we going to just lock down and have this border thing forever? Because at some point you're going to have to open it, and then cases are going to spread. And you see how this thing spreads. It's ridiculous. So we'll have 20,000, 30,000. I mean, like Portugal, which we always talk about. Let's have a look at Portugal. Because we like talking about Portugal because they're like 98% vaccinated. But you should see them recently. Look at where they got to. They got up to like 30,000 cases a day. It's really nice to see that little drop there, though. But I'm not sure if what the drop is for. Because sometimes the cases haven't updated yet. But their 7-day average is 15,000. So hopefully this is true. Hopefully this is exactly like what happened in South Africa, that they went big up and then a quick down. Because I think they're also already talking about easing their restrictions in Portugal.
Really?
Yeah. Because you see here, Portugal eases COVID-19 restriction rules as hospitalizations are low amid record cases.
That's good.
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully, right? Hopefully this is just like what we saw with South Africa, that it's going to be quick. But then that needs to happen
You
in
have
Taiwan.
to accept
the spike.
The spike.
Sure.
But
But you're from Taiwan, right? Do you think and what about people at home, right? Do you guys think that people in Taiwan are willing to accept that? I don't. I've lived here for 15 years almost. Like, I doubt it from what I know of Taiwan.
I think they were going to freak out.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because, we had left to protect it. I think Taiwanese is living in a greenhouse for 2 years.
Sure. But
so
then
all of a sudden you have to then accept the spike. They were saying, oh, no, it's uncertainty. I couldn't foresee the future.
Let me see if I can find this while we're talking. Because there was definitely this news about the flu.
The flu.
Where it was like 100,000 people. Maybe what we need to do is show this to people so that they can realize, that actually this does happen. Because I don't think people really know.
Yeah, we have some coworker who got the flu, but normally we just say, hey, he got flu.
Yeah,
we
found
have to take rest home.
Yeah, here we go. Check. This is January 10th, 2018. 100,000 flu cases and 1 death as outbreak worsens in Taiwan. Over 100,000 cases of flu were reported last week, including 1 death.
Right, so
Now,
4 years ago.
Firstly, I don't understand how they did this. I mean, have you ever had a flu test?
No.
Because I've never had a flu test in my life. Even when
Every
I've had
time I
flu.
get the similar flu symptoms, but I'm not get the test.
Sure. But you see here, over 100,000 people sought treatment. So what about the people who didn't seek treatment? So there must have been a lot higher.
More.
Yeah, and this is for the flu as the type B influenza outbreak spreads in Taiwan. So I think if more and more people, see here, 101,364 people visit emergency rooms with flu-like symptoms. So with flu-like symptoms, does that mean they tested them? I'm not
No,
really sure.
maybe not because flu-like.
Yeah. But if people in Taiwan knew this, right? If they said, hey, look, in 1 week we can get over 100,000 cases of flu, then that number is not that scary. And if we had 20 or 30,000 COVID cases in a week or whatever, that's not going to be that
Think
bad.
about the Omicron symptom, maybe just like flu.
Sure.
So if we can survive from 100,000 flu cases, maybe it's not really scary for right now, like 4 cases.
So I think we need to get away from this boogeyman, this word COVID, right? Because just people get COVID.
They still have the image from before because that is too strong.
Sure. It's a word that makes people have fear, whereas flu doesn't have the same fear response from people.
I think at the beginning, the dead people lie down on the street or like just a huge funeral in the big park. That image give people a strong imagination. So every time you just talk about COVID, COVID.
Sure, and that's the thing. Like, if you don't really read and keep up to date with all this stuff, and you're just watching the news, that's why you get that, right? COVID.
But I think
But you need something to compare it to so that you can understand what happens normally with other sicknesses and everything, right?
yes.
So it's interesting, right, to see what's happening. And did you see in Australia? Did you see like Novak Djokovic?
Who is it?
He's probably like the best tennis player in the world at the moment, I think.
I know. He's tried. He got a block on the border.
I think he thought that he was going to be able to go in. I
He
think
got
had
a
like
permission.
I think he's saying that he had a medical exemption because he's already had COVID, I think. But then when he got there was like a bit of a public outroar about this. So people were saying, well, why are you letting this guy in without being vaccinated, even though he's had COVID? Which actually I've heard is not such a good thing. I think like you need to wait like at least like 8 or 9 months after having COVID to get the vaccine, I think. I saw that on some podcast the guy was talking about. Like it's not good to have COVID and then quickly get the vaccine. I think you need to wait some time. It's safer.
Even you have recover from the COVID.
Yeah, you need to wait like 8 months or something before you get the vaccine. Apparently, that's safer. Because I think that if it's too close after having the virus to having the vaccine, you can have some problems. But again, I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. I'm sure I heard Robert Malone talking about that on Joe Rogan.
I haven't finished yet, but I will.
I'm sure it was on that one there, right? So, but anyway, he failed, and you can see it here because I've got like, they said he's facing the prospect of a 3-year ban from Australia. 3-year ban from coming into Australia. What is this? Yeah, so he's in immigration detention. I think that the news has been a little bit unfair with this. I think they've been trying to say like he's stuck there and they're like he's a prisoner and they won't let him out. But I think from what I've seen, they're saying, listen, if he wants to leave, he can leave any time. But I think he's trying to appeal and trying to get permission to stay and to play.
He tried to play the competition. Right?
Yeah. And then watching BBC this morning, they were saying this is a bit of an embarrassment for Australia. So possibly, right? But they're trying to force this guy to get vaccinated right when he's already had COVID.
This is so weird. So your vaccine is for people who hadn't have a disease, so you can protect.
Sure.
But this guy is already
yeah.
have it. He has a natural immunity, right?
But they're doing crazy things in Australia, right? I mean, have you seen here, like unvaxxed Australians are told they're not allowed to exercise or go to work.
My.
I think there are like 3 reasons you can leave your house. It's like food, see the doctor, and one other thing. So you're not allowed to work, you're not allowed to do anything, right? So, yeah, they're really going crazy there.
Australia.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? They keep saying like they're not going to force people to get vaccinated, but it's the same thing. Like they like to play these clever games, right? They say like an unvaccinated person won't be taken from their home to one of those camps that we saw in Australia, right? But then if they make a law saying you're not allowed to leave your house because you haven't been vaccinated, so then you do leave your house, and then they say, you left your house and now you've been exposed, so now you need to go to the camp. So you went to the camp, but the reason officially is not because you're not vaccinated, it's because you broke the regulation. But the only reason you broke the regulation is because you weren't vaccinated. So it's like a clever way of doing it, but it's still forcing people to get vaccinated, right?
It's so weird. If you are healthy, but you're unvaccinated, you are not allowed to go out the home. But if you vaccinated, but you probably are sick, but it's okay for the people to work around to live normal. So weird because the
because
purpose
they can still spread it, right?
It's gonna spread it because the purpose in the beginning is trying to block the people trying to block people sick and avoid them to spread the disease. But right now, it's not about the symptoms. It's all about if you have vaccine or unvaccinated.
Sure. And then, I mean, like you saw the numbers in America, like 1 million cases in a day. That can't just be from unvaccinated people. I don't think so,
Yes.
right? So then what the argument they're saying is like they need everyone to get vaccinated to stop it, but I don't think anyone's really explained how that will work. Like, I got what Rachel Maddow said. Like, if it stopped people from getting sick, then you could create that herd immunity. But we can see everywhere that it doesn't matter who you are, you can still get this sickness. So then how does that logic work?
They will say, because the vaccine effectiveness will dropped within 3 months, right? So maybe those people already past the 3 months. They need a new booster. They need a new jab.
So basically, then we're going to go into a world where it's
continually
jab. That doesn't sound so good.
It's just so weird. It's not vaccine. It's more like an addiction drug. So
It does seem a little bit, right? And I saw Taiwan is now pushing it they're getting the booster to 3 months.
Yes.
But my question is, if you go back like a year, and you had a crystal ball, and you showed people this now, would they have chosen to get vaccinated if you told them that this was the reality 1 year later? I don't think so.
What's the point if you get vaccine at a time? You probably have to get vaccine when it's really serious.
And have you seen like all the conspiracy theories from last year are all kind of true now?
For example?
No, like when they say like, you're not going to need to have a third shot. When someone said, watch, there's a third one, and then it happened. And then they say, you're going to need one every few months. It's fake news. Now you need one every 3 months. Like, conspiracy theories are all coming true now.
Oh.
So, like I'm saying, if you'd showed anybody this, and like I went to the doctor yesterday.
Oh.
And he had to have laser on my head. For the hairs, right, to make them grow nice and everything, right? But I went to and I asked the guys like, "Have you had the third one?" And I could really see his attitude towards it. He like doesn't want to have the second one, and I mean the third one, and I can see why. Because for a lot of people, they thought getting 2 was enough, and now they need a third, and then they hear about Israel doing a fourth, and I think people can see where it's going, and they're like, "Well, this isn't what I signed up for in the beginning."
Yeah, they probably think I only 2. I just can finish it. And I know lots of people who get a vaccine and they feel some side effect.
Yeah.
They feel uncomfortable. I mean, it's maybe just losing their hairs.
Yeah, that's one. And my ex-wife had 1 shot.
Yeah.
And I spoke to her, and she said that afterwards her heart was beating really, really fast, and she felt really uncomfortable, and she doesn't want to have the second one.
Is it a continuous thing or just a short time?
For a while.
Oh my.
So she definitely, I think, said to me she doesn't want to have the second one. But then she needed to go to the hospital to have a stomach check. And then they wanted her to have the second one.
Huh?
So it's really a problem for a lot of people, right? Because she had that first one. She feels really uncomfortable, like, she doesn't want to have the second one. But now to be able to go get medical treatment, they're saying they want her to have that. And then they said, if you don't, you got to have a PCR test, but you have to pay for it. And I think it was almost 1,000 Taiwan dollars. So that's no good, right?
I see it's non-logic.
So I felt really bad. And I mean, like when she told me like she was having like a fast heart and feeling uncomfortable and everything, like I was really worried for her. That's
oh my
really
God, I
hard,
think
right?
it's a good sign because...
And who would want to have a second one when you feel that after the first one? Who's going to choose the second one, right?
It already means like the body maybe just not suitable for the vaccine.
Possibly.
Maybe,
right? Who knows? But and then you've heard that a lot of people claim to have had heart issues. Yeah. And then you're a person
you worry
who's
about that.
Like that. Yeah, that's what she was saying to me. She's
if you really have some heart problems, who will take the responsibility? But like the patient say, I know I don't want to take vaccine, but the hospital force them to do that. So will the hospital take the responsibility?
No,
absolutely
and the drug
no.
companies don't take responsibility either. They're in like
wait
have
for
indemnity or something. So and then you can see it here. I saw this other news. Have a look at this. Protests erupt in South Korea over vaccination deaths. Right. So I mean, this, So you can see here, South Koreans are reportedly taking to the streets to protest their government's refusal to acknowledge thousands of deaths that many believe were caused by vaccines. So again, we're not saying that this is true. This is just some news that I have seen. And it says here, as we said above, more than 10,000 people have died under murky means strange circumstances shortly after being vaccinated in South Korea. So I don't know what people do, right? Like, I mean, I've seen some people who go for the vaccine and they wear a sign around their neck saying, I do not want to do this. I'm being forced to do this. I have to earn money to feed my family. This is not what I want to do. Sitting there taking a selfie video getting vaccinated.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is so sad.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few pictures like that of people sharing that kind of thing. So,
but is it the kind of video helps them? Like or just announcement?
I don't know. I think
tell
they're
everyone
just sharing it with people, saying, listen, like, I'm doing this, I'm being forced. It isn't what I want. This is definitely not what I want to do, but I'm being forced to do it.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's hard, right? I try and put myself in the shoes of somebody like that. That's really tough, you know?
Yes.
Like in Australia and places, right? You want to go to work, but to go to work, you have to do something that you might not want to do. You know? And I mean, even in Canada now, like you can, for unvaccinated people, I think the one place, I think I saw it here, let me show you. You need a vaccine passport to buy marijuana and hard liquor. So if you want to buy beer, you can still buy beer. But if you want to buy whiskey, you can't buy whiskey, and you can't buy dama or marijuana without if you're not vaccinated. I don't see what the connection is to being vaccinated and buying weed, but but I think that I think Fauci and them actually admitted to this recently. They said that the mandate is not there to protect people's health. The mandate is there as a way to get people vaccinated.
Yeah. The mandate is
this.
not about keeping people health. It's just trying to see if you follow their orders.
Yeah, which is insane, right? Insane that we're all going along with that.
I think the virus is not really scared, but the mandate is really scared for me.
Yeah, it's a lot more scary, right? Yeah.
Like you thinking about if you are if people refuse to take the vaccine, you couldn't go to hospital, you couldn't go to work, you could like grocery shopping.
I think they do allow people to go grocery shopping though.
Really?
I think food. I think if they stop the food, that would be.
But you have to do the PCR test or something else.
I'm not sure, but I think like we said in Australia, there are 3 things that you can do. I think you can go for medical treatment, you can go out to buy food, and I forget the third one. But yeah, I think that if they stopped food, they'd have a real problem. Because can you imagine, people would be making selfie videos, getting thinner and thinner, like a hunger strike. Do you know hunger strike? Can you imagine all the bad publicity they'd get from that, right? So I don't think they'll do that.
Oh my.
Yeah. But there's supposed to be rights and freedoms, right? There's supposed to be rights that you're born with that nobody can take away.
Yeah, because I think still lots of people, because things change so fast, still lots of people, their beliefs is on the maybe just the last year. They will think doing vaccine is protect others. You have to be like a decent, responsible person, so you have to take vaccine. I think there's lots of people's mindset until now, because if you don't keep update the news, you still stay at the same ideas.
Yeah, you don't realize that things have changed, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there must be a lot of people who believe that because they're vaccinated that they won't get it. Must be. I'm sure there are plenty of people who believe this.
Yeah. If you really understand what's going on right now, you will think about them more.
So again, I think we talk about this many times. The root cause of a lot of these problems is that people don't keep up to date. People don't watch and read and find out information. So they're, as you say, they're basing their lives and their decisions on old information. And that's a huge problem.
Yes. And think about if so it creates like 2 groups like separated, and if you want to persuade each other, or at least let the another side understand what's going on, it takes lots of efforts because you have to update lots of information, and people sometimes don't have a time to absorb this information all of the same time in a quick time.
Sure. I mean, it's like I talk to people about this all the time, and most of the time they look at me like, really? Like, yeah, let me show you. And then I show them, and their eyes like big.
Big open.
Yeah, and they're like, what the hell is this? How come I didn't know? Well, you don't read, right?
I think, maybe just people try to search, but
Actually, it's not really hard to find stuff. Like, I search all the time. It really isn't. Just don't use Google too much. Use more DuckDuckGo.
That's a reason, because people use Google all the time.
Yeah. But yeah, then the more you read, the more you see. But because people don't read, that's why they can change what they were saying. Like, now they're saying, the vaccine was always just about symptoms. Like, why do they believe they'll get away with that? And the answer is because they know they will.
That's
Yeah,
true.
because later on people say, it was always about symptoms.
Yeah, because if people don't really follow the whole news, they would just
Yeah, and then you tell them later, but they said something different before. They're like, really? Like, no, it can't be. Like, I saw it on the news. And
but you couldn't find it. Sometimes they would delete it, or just or it's just too old. The Google will try to hide it. You don't know where they are.
But if you know how to look and search, you can always find stuff. Like, you see, I find all these videos and show people. Like, there definitely are people who are showing this and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot,
Record.
you know. And I think, but again, they know, they take advantage of this. They know that most people don't read and don't care. And I think now, especially with COVID, so many people are like, dude, I don't care. I'm done. A lot of people have just got COVID fatigue, COVID tiredness. You know,
Like a COVID again. Just
like, I mean, I've got it. I'm sure you've got it. Like, we're talking about this now. I hate talking about this. I just wish this thing was over. I wish I could go and see my family and travel around, and instead we're just stuck. The only good thing is without travel, I'll be able to save more money. It's the only positive that's come, but oh no, it's ridiculous. Anyway, as I said, with fatigue, why don't we stop talking about this and move on to something else, right?
Why we couldn't just move out? Because
well, we can. Every week we try, but then, as you said, when I saw you today before we started, you said, so much news.
So much news.
And how much of it is about
because
COVID.
just really like affected our lives. So we have to pay attention on that.
Sure. And especially now that we're getting more Omicron cases in Taiwan, we really need to talk about it.
We really need to talk about it. And that's it. And I don't want the diversity come back again.
So what's your prediction?
I think
I'm very pessimistic.
I think maybe at the Chinese New Year.
I wonder.
I think we probably will. We don't have Chinese New Year vacation. We have to stay home. We couldn't go.
Yeah, and I've got like a holiday booked, so I'm really worried I'm gonna have to cancel that. So, I've got like 3. Actually, I showed you the place.
Yeah,
I'm going for 3 days, so I'm really pessimistic. I'd rather now like think about I'm not going, and if I go, it'll be like a bonus. But I'm trying not to get excited and look forward to it too much. So
I see.
Yeah.
So just think we probably we'll have some plan next weekend, but we think I'm not sure because next weekend probably lots of things change.
So much can change in a week. Yes. All right. Should we move on to the No Idea segment?
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
We'll be back in a bit.
Yeah.